Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is a very wet and soggy Saturday, March 29th, 2025. And short walk today because, as I said, it is a bit wet and I have to get to work. So, very quick one. On this day, March 29th, I'll get through here. Neil insists to go through the wet trees. On this day, back in 1966, Muhammad Ali defeated George Chuvalo on points in Toronto, Canada, defending the world heavyweight title, the WBC version of the heavyweight title. Who else we got there? Got a couple more actually today. In 1980, in Atlantic City, Matthew Saad Muhammad, the former great light heavyweight champion, he defended his WBC light heavyweight title with a fourth round knockout of England's John Conte. And what was the other one I saw there? Oh, Lloyd Honeyghan, one of my favourite fighters growing up in the welterweight division, 1988. That other one was in 1980, I think I said that, with Matthew Saad Muhammad. 1988, Lloyd Honeyghan knocked out Mexican Jorge Vaca in 3 rounds in London, England, in defence of his WBC welterweight title. I remember that fight. He was on a tear back then, Lloyd Honeyghan. He'd beaten Donald Curry, Vaca. Who else did he beat? I think Johnny Bumpus was another one he defended. Ended up getting destroyed by Marlon Starley, I remember, in 1989. And pretty much ruined Donald Curry's career, who was viewed at the time as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. Upset him, I think it was in Atlantic City, 1986, and Donald Curry never recovered. And the way they talked him up, he was the next Sugar Ray Leonard, and just never recovered. And one other one, 2003, Bernard Hopkins defended his WBC middleweight title, knocking out Frenchman Maradi Haka in 8 rounds in Philadelphia. So that is on this day. In other news, well, we're a week out from, you may as well say a week out from Tim Tszyu's return against Joey Spencer. And of course, all the news sites are now in full swing about that fight and that card. And as usual, I do a pretty good job promoting that fight and marketing that fight. But I've got to say, I have still been a little concerned. I think we've discussed that it was pretty obvious that Tim's made a pact with his team not to be discussing anyone except Joey Spencer, and they've done a pretty good job. But I've got to admit, in the last sort of week or so, George Rose has had a bit to say. Look, you can't help what the media are going to say. They've been all over it. You know, there's fights with Fundora, and Charlo's now back, so now that's sort of kicked into gear, and maybe Spence, and they're all talking about these fights, and that's okay. There's not really much Tim can do about that. You know, the media are going to be the media, and they're going to talk it up. They've got to get views, they've got to get clicks, they've got to sell papers, all that sort of stuff, so I get it. But I did see that George Rose, I think he did an interview the other day, and as he does, and I know he's got to promote his fighter up and promote the card, and he's got to look out for his interests, I get all that, but he was super excited, and he's saying, look, Tim's just one fight away from being back. He's going to be back, and he's just got to beat Joey Spencer. And if he beats Joey Spencer, there's Thurman and there's Charlo. We've got unfinished business with Charlo. You know, and we're still looking at the Spence fight. And look out Fundora, and look out, you know, Virgil Ortiz, and look out this fighter and that fighter. And I get it. I know he's got to talk it up. I understand it. But I just hope they haven't started the whole hype train again. Look, everyone will fall for it. They always do. Already you look on social media with what a lot of people saying, you know, the comments. There are still a lot that it still need to be proven, or need to be proven too, that he's back. But so many now, just wait till Tim gets past Joey Spencer. He's going to do this and going to do that. I just want him to get back. And I've been vocal about it. I just want him to get a win under his belt. But the tone in George Rose's voice, and again, I know he's got to talk it up and promote it all. I just don't like the body language again, and the response from the media, response from a lot of fans out there, and even Tim himself. I mean, he's done a pretty good job of so far just keeping it on the down low. But even he said, you know, it was about Charlo. Well, you know, we've got unfinished business, and the phone's always on. I know it's not a big thing, but just the tone from everyone involved, I just don't like. I'm probably hard to explain. I know you probably get where I'm coming with it, but I just don't like the body language coming out of the Tszyu camp, and especially George Rose. He's just, I think it should be all around. I'm sure they've had discussions about it all, and we've got to say this and we've got to say that. But I would have thought in that instance, even with Tim, nice way to start up a chainsaw there, buddy. Don't you know I'm doing a video here? That it would have been along the lines of, you know, especially with Tim, with Charlo, saying, hey, look, it's great he's back. I'd love to fight him down the track, but I've still got to get past Joey Spencer first. Let's just get past that, you know. And George Rose, just, it's okay to say what you're going to do. I get it. Just, you know, you got to have goals and you got to map out his future, and, you know, people want to know what's happening and what's going to happen. But I just would like his toned down a little bit, if that makes sense. He's just getting a little bit excited for me, and I just think it's not good, stirring the masses up again, and maybe the expectations being there, and, you know, whether Tim can actually measure up to those expectations. I hope he can. But I've said on here before, you know, I want to be convinced. I'm certain, and I'm not even going to get super excited if he beats Joey Spencer. You know, if he beats Joey Spencer, that's great. And what it means is he's back. That's the main thing. He's back. But it doesn't mean he's back to that world elite level. And I hope he does. I really hope he does. And I certainly don't want to be seen as trying to, you know, lay the boots into Tim or bring him down. I'm just sort of being real about the whole thing. We've got to have the expectations in check. And that's just not us. That's Tim and his team. Now, maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe it's just, you know, he's just had his say, and that's just George Rose's personality, whatever. And again, maybe I'm overreacting, but as I said, I just don't like what's coming out of the camp now, and they've kept it in check really, really well, just up until the last sort of few days or a week or whatever it's been. And I know the fight's next week, and they want to sell pay-per-views, but I want to hear George Rose pretty much just shut up about what's going to happen down the track, because I'm getting a bit over it. Call me old-fashioned, call me grumpy. Just let Tim get on with the bloody job and get the job done, and then you can start, you know, spruiking from the rooftops. I don't know. Is it the tall poppy thing? It's not, because I'm not having a crack at Tim himself. It's just, I don't know. I just think there's a way to go about it, and I just would hope that can we just buy the fight and watch the fight and hope for the best for Tim, and he gets the win, and then we can all, you know, do high fives and all the rest of it, hug it out. Once he beats Joey Spencer, and not just Joey Spencer, get past Thurman. Then if he gets past both of those, okay, then we're back. Then we're at the world scene. Then we're back at that elite level. Then you can look at those types of guys. But just at the moment, I just want to have George Rose zip it, just for now. The rest of the team's actually been pretty good. And apart from that, this little slip from Tim Tszyu, he's been great as well. He's been great. And Glenn Jennings, as always, tells it the way it is, and he's been pretty measured as well. Has been a little bit actually said about, again this week, again with all the articles and stuff, and Tim was actually asked about who would be in his corner, and I think he was a little bit sort of taken aback by it. He's like, well, what do you mean who's going to be in my corner? Because Jeff Fennick, of course, called his corner clowns, which was surprising because Jeff is very close to Tim. And I think Tim said he even might have run into Jeff when they were out for dinner. And he's got no dramas with Jeff whatsoever, by the way. But Jeff called his corner clowns. And Tim, look, he defended his corner. This is mainly his uncle Igor with his training methods. I personally, I've said it, nothing against, I've met Igor a couple of times, lovely, lovely guy, but this is not about being a lovely guy. This is about, can you get the job done? And I just worry that at the absolute elite level, when real hard decisions had to be made, Igor was not really able to do it. That's just my worry. You know, the Fundora fight, the fight should have been stopped 100%. Murtazaliev, okay, give him the benefit of the doubt after that second round, but as soon as he went out there and got rocked or dropped or whatever it is, the first time the fight should have been over. And I'll say it again, he should have been the one throwing in the towel, not his brother Nikita. It's as simple as that. The chief second should be in full control of the fight. He should have thrown in the towel. And I'm just not sure, if I'm being honest as well, I've seen the necessary improvement in Tim, the little tweaks. It's interesting looking at a lot of his sort of highlight reels, and I've watched a couple of his fights recently, and there are some flaws there. And I think they've all been sort of hidden a little bit because of he was winning clearly, having good wins. And it wasn't until he stepped up in class that those flaws really came back to haunt him. I'm just not sure whether we've seen the adjustments there. I'm hoping we'll see it against Joey Spencer. You know, he does have this habit of coming in when he's got his opponent under pressure with his chin up in the air, and he tends to telegraph his punch. I know it's easy to pot shot someone that's coming off 2 losses, by the way, but I'm just hoping that if he has retained Uncle Igor, that he's made those adjustments on his style. And probably, as I said, goes back to what he was a couple of years ago when he was cool, calm, calculated, and a really measured type of fighter. So anyway, all will be revealed next Sunday, won't it, when he locks horns with Joey Spencer in Tszyu Castle. So it should be, a great event. Looking forward. Still not overly impressed with the undercard, but whatever. I'm just there to see Tim, so I'm not that stressed about it. But it will be interesting to see whether he can exercise those demons of, what was it, August or something last year? October? What was it? Whenever it was, in Orlando, Florida. With that Murtazaliev fight. But anyway, all will be revealed. All right, some more news. The WBC Grand Prix. So we have, 5 fighters in the WBC Grand Prix. So Haas Hamden, there's 4 divisions, by the way. They starts April 17th. 32 fighters, 4 divisions. Where are they? Featherweight, super lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight. So we've got, Haas Hamden, Dylan Biggs. I'm assuming that Haas Hamden is it'd have to be middleweight, would he? Or lightweight, one or the other. Dylan Biggs would be at middleweight. Jude Grant. I'm not sure I know much about Jude Grant. And there's Lewis Clark and Runki Tszyu. Now, I've never heard of those 3 fighters, Jude Grant, Lewis Clark, and Runki Tszyu, but good luck to them. Dylan Biggs is the interesting one. He can obviously put them together pretty well, and Haas Hamden as well. So good opportunity for them. So that starts on April 17th. So there'll be 32 fighters. It'll be run like an Olympic tournament, basically. They will fight each other over X amount of months, and one, of course, the fighters will get eliminated each show, and they get down to the final. So yeah, good concept. Got to keep people interested, I suppose, and gives those young fighters an opportunity. So good luck to all the Aussies in action. Deontay Wilder is back. June 27th in Wichita, Kansas. So in the big smoke, Deontay Wilder, 43-4-1. He's going to fight Terrell Herndon, 25-5. Now, the last time I saw Herndon, he was getting demolished in 2 rounds by, Richard Gomez? And the young Richard Torres, sorry. And got demolished in 2 rounds. So look, I understand Deontay Wilder wants a nice comeback fight, but fighting someone like this guy in Wichita, Kansas, not sure that spells a return to the big time for Deontay Wilder. I know you got to start somewhere. Good luck for him coming back. But I'm not quite sure how old he is these days. But I'm not quite sure he's going to be able to get back to the elite level. Let's hope he does. There's still some big fights out there for him. Still got that thunderous right hand. And again, you're a long time retired, so good luck to him. But I'm not sure that fight exactly gets the cockles birding, as they say. This weekend, yes. thought about this one. The big double header. I think it's on ESPN, so it should be here in Australia. Hopefully, I'll have to check the guides. We've got Brian Norman against Derek Cuevas for the WBO welterweight title. Norman 26-0, Cuevas 27-1-1, and on the undercard, which is probably the better fight, is Michaela Mayer, 20-2. She's up against Sandy Ryan from Britain, 7-2-1. That's also for the WBO welterweight title, the female version. So, yeah, not a bad card. Good fight with the males, but especially the females have got a little bit of a twist, of course, because in the last fight in New York, this fight's in Vegas, by the way, but the last one in New York where Sandy Ryan had the red paint thrown over her just before she was about to head to the arena. Of course, everyone blamed Michaela's Mayer's camp, and she, of course, denied it. So there's been a bit of a controversy over that. But yeah, talk about elite female fights. I think I said yesterday when I was doing the female rankings with the Aussies, a lot of the divisions, there's not a lot of quality around. But geez, this fight is a very, very good fight. I like Sandy Ryan's style. From England, of course, and Michaela Mayer, she's had a couple of ripper fights as well, so it should be good. And then, of course, yeah, the males as well. So if you've got nothing to do, I'm pretty sure it should be on. I'm pretty sure that I've seen somewhere it is here in Australia, but I'll have to double check. And one last thing that'll make you laugh. I've been reluctant to even mention it, and I'm only saying because Eddie Hearn's the one that's been talking about in the last few days. Anthony Joshua possibly fighting Jake Paul. Now, surely this cannot be serious. I sort of hope it is in some respect. I would love to see Anthony Joshua do a bit of a Francis Ngannou on Jake Paul, but apparently they're talking about it next year. Look, I would be staggered if it happens. One, because it's so far away. I think Jake Paul's just likes to rile fans up. That's what he does without actually fighting anyone of note. But geez, if it did happen, you talk about biting off more than you can chew, because that's got disaster written all over it for Jake Paul, even as washed up as Anthony Joshua looks at the moment. So anyway, that's about all I'm going to say about that. So guys, that's going to do it for this Saturday. Hope you have a great weekend. Hope your footy team wins. Mine lost again last night, but that's enough. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to just sulk for the rest of the day and look forward to next week. So guys, have a good one. Catch you tomorrow.